Hey, Roy Marsh here again with Brian Urban, and we're going to go over the basic knee cut pass. This is a fundamental pass. It's a pass that was my bread and butter for most of my jiu-jitsu career. I ended up injuring my knee and I don't do it as much, but I still, to this day, it was my fundamental bread and butter pass, probably the second pass I ever learned. And I'm going to show it to you again. I talk about this a lot. I like to do techniques in a way that I don't have to get into a battle of counter. So I'm going to try to build this pass in a way that limits most of his counters, rather than show you what to do in every single situation where he throws up a block. So the way I do it is, again, based on the real world concepts that maybe I don't have a key to grip on. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get into kind of the meat of the pass here. So if he's laying back, I'm leading with one leg here. So we'll just kind of start right here. Okay, this could be this position, it could be this position. Right now, one in, one out. Okay, the position I want to be in is when I get ready to go, hold my hand on his hip bone, I look through to cut the hip bone, because I don't want him turning into me. Okay. So right now, I'm going to start low. My knee is going to cut across right here. My elbow is in, so he can't bring this leg in. I'm cupping his hip. Here's the most important thing. Right now, when I see this opportunity to pass, I have to close all this distance between us as soon as possible. Space right now is only going to be his friend. He needs to build frames. So if I give him all the space, he has the ability to make all these frames. So the moment I get a chance, I'm going to blast through that. Okay, and when I used to do this, it used to be like a missile coming in. So what I want is my knee, my head, and my hand are all going to touch the ground at the same time. I come forward, low, my head goes right next to his head, my knee touches the mat. Okay. I am glued from here to here on him. I'm not sitting up tall. Okay? I'm here. Good. One more time, I'm here. I'm low. I don't come up. I come forward. My head comes forward. My elbow's on his hip. Everything touches the ground at once. Here. My leg steps out. Okay? This is very important. Okay? Here's the thing. When I'm passing, I have 4 shields I have to pass. His feet, his knees, his hands, and his elbows. And I have 2 control points I have to deal with. His hips and his head. Most often when people pass, the mistake they make is they try to control the head too early. And they leave the hips free to move. Okay? So if my arms are up here trying to control his head, I have no control over his hips. But if my hips are back here, my hands are back here controlling his hips, I have no control of his head. So a lot of times when I roll, if you guys see me roll, where you see, I'm using my head often to control his head, which allows me to keep my hands back controlling his hips. Okay, so let's go turn your head the other side, please. Let's show what's happening on this side, because this is probably the big difference between the way I do it and other people do it. When I pass and I go here, this hand, pull up, locks next to his body. I'm not reaching for the underhook yet. I'm here. The problem reaching for the underhook, I go like this, and he can just as easily re-pummel. Yeah. So if I'm slow, maybe he pummels first, and then I'm here. Or even if I do get the underhook, there's nothing blocking his hips. He moves his hips out, and then he might be able to bring that knee in, or he might push my head off mine and pick it up. Here. So what I'm trying to do is block his hips, push his head. So if I block here and do this, it's very hard for him to turn into me. It's very hard for him to push my head off the line with any power. Okay? So my head isn't just here, it's going to eventually be really pressing his head that way. So when I'm here, and I'm here, so I don't want him turning on his side. I'm here, I go here, pummel the underhook. There's no real space for underhook. So I'm not like this. Maybe him up. Again, if I'm here, we can up. Yes. Okay. So again, we're here. I go here, right away, boom, I'm low. My head is glued to his head. Mine's glued to his body. My weight is all on top of it. On this half of it. I'm not bringing my head over here. Okay. Now, let's turn back that way. You're going to see a lot of times, traditional, maybe they go control the sleeve, collar, and really do this. Okay? I don't do this as much, A, because if I don't have the sleeve and the collar, this pass just doesn't work, doesn't exist. The other thing is, I'm not that big a guy. I'm not small, but for Team Rock, I'm not that big. Put your elbow down. And I can try to do all this and everything, and eventually I might get it, but I'm basically stalled out here wrestling with his elbow. Okay? The other thing, if you notice people who do this pass, they tend to be middleweight, middle heavy, and up. You don't see a lot of lightweights and featherweights being able to do this pass because it just requires a lot of pressure. And I know there's details to it, don't get me wrong. It is a good pass, but I don't like to mess with it because this whole time, all this space is open. So when I come through, I'm here. My head goes forward, low. I'm blocking the head. Keep your elbow in. Now, this elbow's locked. It's glued to his body. But when I drive his head offline, look, very easy to pick up. So I'm driving his head that way. Now, at the same time, I'm on my knee. I don't want to stay here. If he takes his knee behind me and bumps me in the butt, I'm light. Now, it's not as light because I'm like this, but I'm going to do two things at once. I'm going to drive his head offline. I like to kind of put my head in his temple, make him look. I'm doing two things to his head, not just turning his head, pushing his head. So this and this. As I do that, my knee drops down towards his knee. My hip is low now. I'm heavy this way. He tries to bump me off of it now. It's not going to happen. So again, hand on the hip, because if he tries to bring that leg over or block, yeah, look, here. Okay. I'm low, I come right in, boom. Arm is straight, palm up. I'm not grabbing the cloth, I'm just blocking. He wants to keep that arm there, push, pick it up. Now is when the time I'll push the other. Now keeping this hook, hitting this leg. So I'm using this to flatten out. I want to be here right on the side. I'm using this to flatten out. My knee goes down, my head extends. Now, other hook. Again, if he's big, hand on that. If not, I'll hold the shoulder. Okay. So from here, I'm here. Here. Driving the head, extend the knee down towards the knee. I'm low profile, very low profile. Pick up your arm, underhook. So now we'll finish the pass. Okay, so a big important thing I always teach my students, every sweep has a pass built in. Every pass should have a stabilization built in. It does me no good to have an excellent pass and then he escapes because I don't know how to stabilize the position. So what I do when I take my leg off means his hips are free now. Okay, so I've got to basically be very assured of how I'm going to stabilize. So we're here. I come in. Boom. I extend. Pick up the arm. Get my underhook. Now I'm going to sit out. Now, here's the trick. When I do this, look, I don't bring my head up. Okay, because I lost the head pressure, which means he can start turning it in. He can also frame in front of my neck. All these things are going to give me trouble. Okay? Also, when I go to my knees, look, if I take that head pressure off and go to my knees, watch what happens when I switch my hips. This space right here is going to open up. It's just going to open up. And he swings his knee in, and he puts me in guard. So I did all that work, and I'm back in guard. Now I can walk his hips back and turn his hips. And that's perfectly fine. That's great. And I'll do that a lot of times. But people know that rule of me, I'm kind of a jerk. So I'm going to stay on that head-to-head control. And with that head-to-head control, I'm keeping it. So I'm here, boom. I drive his head over my knee, here. Now, I sit out. Now the way I go to my knees is I'm going to drive my head into his head more. Because as long as his head is going that way, his knees can't turn this way. Put me in guard. Look, even doing this, even giving him all that space, he's not going to put me in guard. So I'm here, I drive, then I go back to my position. So we're here, I get this position, this could be here. Boom. I'm here, in, open, out, here. Now look, I'm still driving into his head, be on shoulder distance. So, the big details for this one. Hand on the hip, it slides low shoulder, head to head. Okay? I come in, and I'm doing this, and kind of this, then I'm always fighting that knee coming in and doing all this, and maybe he's trying to do lasso, and all kinds of crap, and I'm in trouble. So the moment I can, none of that stuff matters anymore. He wants to push on my hip. Yeah, look, this is not going to matter. He's not going to keep that elbow. When I do this and I push his head and turn his head, that space opens up, this elbow gets weak. Okay? And again, I don't want to just come here and do all that work, lift my head up, have him frame, or immediately put me back in guard because I open that space. So, this is our basic knee cut across, knee slice pass. Again, all these other passes, they're certainly fine and everything. I feel like that's a lot of space. The moment I'm passing, you give me any space, I glue myself to you. So I don't have to, I hate dealing with all this stuff. I'm not gonna like, he does a lasso, and I defend the lasso, and he does this, no. I'm just gonna come in, boom, here. Right away, I'm on his head, I'm blocking his hip out. No hipping. And that is our basic knee slice, knee cut across pass. This was, like I said, the bread and butter. I'm just now getting confident again with my knee to start to do this one again. And again, if you guys ever have questions about any of these techniques, feel free to contact me, roymarshjiu@gmail.com.